this over again. Give me just a second. I'm going to share this link out to some people. We're going to get this thing going. All right, let's try this again. All right, we're back. I don't know. I had a lightning just struck outside. That's exactly what happened. The Creedmoor crowd hacked the feed. I had lightning strike outside, and all of a sudden my froze. I was like, oh crap. Well, then I realized I'm also hooked to my crappy home Wi-Fi instead of just running off a cell signal. Oh, if it wasn't raining, I'd be outside having some mountain camp too. But here we are in the rain. Like I said, lightning struck this screen that I'm recording on froze. And then I realized, it flashed for a second. And then I realized that the whole video was froze up. And then you guys got stuck in an eternal loop. So we'll try this again. Let me reread back into here, because I got to re-record it all. This week's episode is brought to you by Deep Roots Rifle Company. Elevated excellence rooted in integrity and reliability. Use the link in the description to get on over to their website and order just about everything you'll need to get into the woods this fall. From fully custom rifles built in-house to flashlights to help you find your way in the dark, and be sure to tell them I sent you. So, like I discussed just a second ago, we're getting into the hate for the 6.5 Creedmoor, right? And that's just this generation's cartridge to hate. I think it gets its hate because when it came on the scene, it jumped quickly into the target market. I think it hit the target market before it really hit the hunting market. And a lot of guys were hunting with it because they had just bought these brand new, like the Ruger Precision Rifle, for example, made it very popular because they made a very entry-level price range and just entry-level base, almost custom rifle, super accurate, chambered in the 6.5 Creedmoor. So everybody was a sniper. There's a lot more match rounds made for the 6.5 Creedmoor than there are hunting rounds, right? So see, here we go. Got to hate on the 6.5 Creedmoor tag? I know. There are much better cartridges. 6.5 by 55. Okay? 6.5 has been around a long time. 6.5 by 55 was World War II. And everybody, and you're talking like a 6.5 by 55 is so dang close to 6.5 Creedmoor, it's not even funny. Anyway, we'll get into that in a minute. Large surplus of match-grade ammunition for this, and only very few select hunting rounds. I think a lot of people are used to being able to go, when they go buy hunting ammunition, they just walk into Walmart and go, ah, that matches my caliber, and they grab it. And there's some people that don't even look at the grain weight to see if it matches the right grain weight. A 22 Creedmoor is a whole different beast. Everything's a Creedmoor now. So I think a lot of guys, there's potential, a lot of guys are seeing bad blood trails, are not shooting hunting rounds. I've killed deer both with the Hornady ELDX, which is the hunting round, and the Winchester Deer Season XP. And they both performed phenomenally. Blood everywhere, or the deer just dropped where it stood. I like the 6.5 Creedmoor because it's really light recoil. And I have mine cut down, a real short barrel, so I run my suppressor on there. It's a fun gun to shoot. And I think we will come back to eventually realize that this is not the cartridge it's been made out to be. But let's talk about some other ones. So here's our few past examples that are just considered staples of the deer woods today. So we'll start with the fabled 270 Winchester. 25, and went out. Jack O'Connor loved it, but many hunters thought it was too small for deer and too fast for bullets at the time. So here we are, and that was in the time, in your 270s, a 6.8 millimeter bullet, just so you're aware, on a 30-06 casing, 27 caliber on a 30-06 casing. And for the time, that thing was hauling butt. And still today, they can be made to do some serious hauling butt. And for decades, the 30-06 loyalist dismissed it as a varmint cartridge. And I know, Tyke, you can attest to the fact that I guess elk are a pretty big varmint. That 270 is capable of taking any big game in North America, hands down, at ranges 300 and 400 yards, easy. Bullet selection would still be key to some of your bigger stuff, but it's nothing to shake fist at. But now, I said it's a classic. Here we are 100 years later, and 270 is an excellent cartridge. But new in its time, it was too fast and too small. So think about that for a minute. It took decades for it to shake those misgivings, the early skepticisms. And I still think the 30-06 crowd is strong in the community. 30-06 is an excellent round. Been around forever, since I think 06. But and it's won 2 world wars. Not too shabby. And it is also very capable of taking far beyond North American big game. Then in 1955, along comes the 243. It was adopted in 06, so it was probably around before that, in 06, 1906. The 243 Winchester. Launched in 1955, criticized as too light for deer and too heavy for varmints. So when it came out, nobody wanted to give it a home. It was too much bullet to be shooting groundhogs with and not enough bullet to shoot deer with. The 6mm 08, you're right. That's exactly what it is. I don't know how 7mm 08 escaped the hate. Maybe it didn't. I never heard any of it. I couldn't find anything that popped up immediately for it. My son's killed 2 deer with a 243, or 1 deer with a 243, 2 deer with a 6.8 SPC, which again is a 27 on a 30 Remington case, I think. I can't remember what the parent case of that is. But now the 243 is one of the most common whitetail rounds in North America. It's also, are you getting real technical? It's like 284.08. It's super common. You hear it all the time. Like somebody says, "Oh, I'm thinking about letting my kid shoot a deer this year. What round would you recommend?" And you hear 243 and 7mm 08 for the most part. Sometimes you get 308 in there. People are skeptical to say 6.5 Creedmoor. And I think it's because they're afraid they're going to get made fun of. I don't know why. Who cares? Um, and then there's always that one guy's like, 270. I'm like, bro, he's 7. 270 packs a wallop in the shoulder. But 6.8 SPC is a great one. That's what I started my son with, and it don't recoil worth a crap. And it put 2 deer in the dirt. And the 6.8 SPC is capable of taking deer, whitetail size game, mule deer, antelope, 250, 300 yards with the right bullet setup. So, and then along comes the year 1962. And I know this one's going to shock you that it got some hate. This might shock you guys. The 7mm Remington Magnum. Right up there with one of the most prolific big game cartridges for like elk, moose size game today was once, when it appeared, some old timer saw it as a gimmick magnum that would burn barrels and kicked too hard. Now, I mean, I can understand that because I kind of feel that way now about the, what's that thing called? 7mm backcountry. That thing has a steel casing in order to withstand the pressure it generates. The 7mm would be the quintessential North American hunting round. I agree. It's great. I mean, it's a little much for, I would say, southeastern whitetail, but also not really. You shoot a little lighter bullet, maybe with some speed on it, not some heavy, blow the shoulder out the other side, or just pick your shots well. And it's a great whitetail round. Excellent, mule deer, elk, bigger whitetail. It's a great round. When I go to build a Western rifle, it'll probably be in 7mm. 7mm or one of the next cartridges we're going to talk about. Others claim the 7mm was redundant compared to the 30-06 and the 270. Wait a minute. We're finally a fan of the 270 now. It eventually became one of the most successful big game rounds in the world, hands down. The bullet selection offered by that, high ballistics coefficients, heavy bullets, going fast, shooting flat, bucking wind. It's an excellent round. So this one still gets some hate to this day. And I think it's a bit undue. I also think, this is another one that comes from bullet selection. And that's the 223 Remington in 5.56 NATO. Adopted in 1980s for military use. Early in its military and hunting career, it was called too small for war and unethical for deer. There has been more deer and terrorists killed by the 5.56 223 than you can shake a fist at. That is a very effective round if it is well placed, especially on a deer. I think a lot of times you're talking about terrorists, we're talking, volume versus accuracy, but nonetheless, I don't want to get shot with it. I've hunted with one. I've seen deer killed with it. A buddy of mine shot one, Tristan, shot a nice 9-point buck at 20 yards. He only went about 30, 45 yards after that, piled up graveyard dead, turned his insides into soup. Many still debate it for medium game, though modern bullet designs have made it far more viable. You get a 69 grain soft nose, it'll get her done. I would try to keep my shots on deer inside of 100 yards and in, but it's capable of going beyond that. That's just something I wouldn't feel more comfortable doing outside of 100. If you're going to head shoot, you got a good, comfortable, accurate rifle. Head shooting's your thing. Shoot high neck maybe, but other than that, I'm not big on deer hunting with my 223, like my AR-15 platform, but I will pig hunt with it all day long. I think there's a bigger, I'm used to head shooting pigs anyway, so shooting pigs, I like the magazine capacity for pigs, and if it'll kill a hog, it'll definitely kill a deer. If it'll kill a terrorist, it'll kill a deer. Now, here's another one that has become renowned in both military applications and Western big game hunting. How it ever got grief when it launched in 1963, I don't know, but we're going to talk about it anyway. And that's the 300 Winchester Magnum. Called unnecessary. The wait for it, 30-aughts was already enough. And it was. But the flatter trajectory of a 300 Win Mag over a 30-06 and the fact that you can take those 180 grain to 220 grain bullets and push them faster and further it's undeniable. But it does have excessive recoil. It's got a good punch to it. And I see a lot of bigger cartridges get that hate as we go through here. They're criticized for the excessive recoil. I get it. I don't like getting punched with it either. It's hard to practice with. But Tyke, you can attest to the fact that nothing kicks like a daggum 12-gauge slug shooting Remington 3-inch magnums. Tyke and I went out to a range in Kentucky, and we were sighting in my 12-gauge slug gun lever scope mount on it, and I had these 12-gauge 3-inch magnums, saboted slugs, and I think I had 10 rounds, had to be. And the two of us, it took us probably an hour and a half that it was good enough to be zeroed. And I hunted with the other 3 rounds for the season. I was not going to shoot it unless I absolutely had to. And that's all I had left. Couldn't find any more. And I was only getting a 3-inch group at 100 yards with that. And I was like, I guess that's as good as it's going to get. Killed a couple deer with those. Was not really fascinated with how they performed. Switched to shooting a 2 3/4 inch Federal all copper hollow point slug that I was able to get down to like an 1.5 inch group at 100 yards. Did not kick near as bad. I could sight the gun in both. When I say it took us both, we would sit through an entire hot range session, and then somebody like, "Can we get a cold range?" Like, "Yeah, sure, go ahead." Unload the gun and then sit back and watch. Never having fired the entire hot portion of that range. But I went to those, like I said, I switched to those 2 3/4 12-gauge copper slugs. I punched deer the rest of the time I hunted there with that, and they did fantastic. Far better performance and accuracy than those 3-inch Remington Magnums. I think it was just a little too much recoil and too much powder. I can tell you I definitely flinched shooting that gun because I know it was going to hurt. It left a mark on both ends. So, and that 300, Winchester Magnum, now it's the go-to for long-range hunting and military sniping applications and law enforcement. So, the question is, why does this keep happening? Right? It's marketing. A lot of companies overpromise, and they set the stage for backlash. I think that we see all these accuracy guarantees come out with these new rounds, and we forget that accuracy is mainly laid in the shooter. So you can only do so much with that. We see these speed guarantees of you looking at your speed on the box, and then you go and look into the manufacturer's data, and that speed will have been fired out of 26 or 28 inch barrel, and all your factory rifles are coming 20 or a 22. So you're wondering, why is my gun not shooting that fast? That's the same thing when you get into archery. You see all these advertised IBO speeds and all these for these bows, and come to find out, these guys are shooting shooting the lightest possible arrow that they can get away with without tearing the bow up to get it to go as fast as they can. So you get out there and you switch to a hunting weight arrow and you shoot it, and you're like, man, this thing's shooting 100 feet per second slower than what the box says. Well, yeah, because you're shooting a proper weight arrow to go hunting with, not that super light target arrow that they were shooting, slinging a 80 grain field point down range on. So maybe even not have fletchings on it, for Pete's sake, just for the speed. And there's a bit of generational loyalty as well. And it's kind of funny because I think if we were able to fast forward probably another 20 years, and really maybe even not that, at the pace that firearms technology is changing, and powder and everything else, bullet and powder technology has changed so much in the last decade to 20 years, last 2 decades, that Lord knows we're going to come out with next. But one, it's making the older rounds perform better, but it's making it easier for lighter bullets and smaller bullets to do more damage. So these companies are switching back towards speed, which there was a speed race for a while when the time 270 came out. A faster bullet was always shot for, and we went lighter and lighter and lighter, and that's when like I said, about the time 270 came out, and people didn't like that. Said it was too small. Obviously, it's not. It's been around for a long time. But give it another 10, 15 years, and 6.5 Creedmoor the hate will have quelled. The loud minority will have found something else to cry about, and that'll be it. They'll go and find something else to whine about. Everybody will love the 6.5 Creedmoor. You'll be looking on forums on the internet asking, man, my kid's about to start hunting. I'm taking him out and gonna let him shoot a deer this year. What kind of round do you think I should let him use? And it'll say right here in the top, 6.5 Creedmoor. 270 is a great round. I had a 270. Tyke, I had a 270. I got rid of my 270 for a 6.5 Creedmoor. The whole reason I got rid of my 270 was because I could not get that gun. I could outshoot the gun, and I hated that. It scared the crap out of me, so away she went. Not because of the round, because of the gun. I still have a 270, a Remington 700 270. My wife does, and that gun shoots lights out. That old Ruger M77 Mark II I couldn't get it to shoot for shit. I say shoot for shit. It was shooting a inch and a half, minute and a half at 100 yards, which I didn't like that. I'd like to see at least a minute, a 1-inch group at 100 yards, because I want to be able to trust that gun out beyond 100 yards. And if I can't get at least an inch out of it, I don't feel like I can. Everything I have now, bar my M1A, shoots below a minute. The M1A usually holds about a minute, minute and a quarter. And I've done some work to get it to make it shoot as good as it does. And I'm happy with that. That gun is not traditionally a super accurate rifle, although it can be made to be fairly accurate. I mean, they use a squad in the M14 variant, the military version, be used as a squad designated marksman's rifle, and was used as a sniper rifle for some time. And they, your national match versions with really heavy barrels and all kinds of stuff like that, they can be fairly accurate. I don't have a national match version. I just have a regular M1A standard. It's a fun rifle to hunt with. It's a heavy SOB, but it's fun to hunt with. Semi-automatic, 308, and it's beautiful. There's nothing more pretty in a firearm than walnut and steel. Right now, my current hate for cartridge would probably be the 6.8 Western. Never shot it. Not saying it's bad. All I'm saying is it's a 270 short mag. And that's why I hate it. I've seen too many modern cartridge adaptions come around that are just a remake of something else with a new name. Slightly different. It's a different parent casing, and it gets hyped up because Hornady or Federal produced it. Yeah, boomer. And it gets a lot of marketing backing, and then it takes off. Of course, I heard much about it in a while, the 6.8 Western, but ballistically, it's a 270 short mag, and that's great. Because you know what? I guess if I wanted to shoot 270 short mag or something similar, I better buy a 6.8 or start reloading 270 short mag because it's hard to find that short mag anymore. I have to look into why they went around crazy about those short magnum cartridges because there's a few of them. 300 short mag, 243 super short mag, 300 short mag, 7mm short mag. They're all out there, and they came and went, really faded off into non-existence. They're still the loyal few, right? But and overexposure, it with the six more especially is marketed everywhere, from deer blinds, and this is just a big one, from the deer blind to the PRS competitions, and you never hear anybody talk bad about the accuracy of 6.5 Creedmoor because it's inherently very accurate. I didn't say 270. I did not say 270 short mag was a bad cartridge. I'm just saying that 6.8 Western is a 270 short mag. 6.5 Creedmoor is inherently very accurate. High ballistics coefficient bullets. The only thing you hear about it, hate for it, is in the hunting community. Doesn't leave a blood trail. I haven't had much problem with a deer running or needing a blood trail, and those that I have had to have a blood trail from look like I dumped a 5-gallon bucket of blood on the ground the whole way there. Farthest I've had one run was about 65 yards, and it was literally just a gallon jug just dumped bloop, 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 the whole way there. There is some fanboyism to it all as well that I think just drives people crazy. Some Creedmoor fans claimed it could do it all, and I think it can. I mean, I know they kill elk. Guys have killed elk with a 6.5 Creedmoor. It says including killing elk at a mile. That's a bit excessive. I don't really should be killing elk at a mile with anything unless you're shooting like a 458 Chi-Tac. And that rubs people the wrong way, and I don't disagree with that. But history will speak for itself. In 30 years, the 6.5 Creedmoor will be just another solid, proven cartridge, and some other new round will be the one catching the internet hate. That's all there is to it. Can't change my mind. I'll find something to hate. Oh, but the Daytona archery shoot today, that was a freaking blast. I still got to get more. I left before all the raffles were drawn, so I still got to pick up raffle stuff that I won. But we did. We had an absolute blast. You'll hate the new one. Yeah, I agree with that. I'll hate the new one. I don't know what the new one is. It'll come out next year. They've been introducing a new rifle cartridge, it seems like, every single year. And they've kind of been coming in and fading out. It's hard. I don't know. I wonder if the 6.5 Creedmoor has made it hard for those newer cartridges to break into the market because people are. It caught a lot of fame. It caught fire. It stayed lit, and it's still there. But I think it's easier when you have companies like Ruger taking and chambering that new round in a Ruger American, or Savage puts it into, I can't remember the name of the Axis. They put it in the Axis. And they make that new cartridge in an affordable rifle. I think that helps fuel the sale and keep it around. Here's another new one that's out that a lot of people probably don't know about because it's not a bolt action cartridge. But the 360 Buckhammer has my attention because it's a straight wall lever action cartridge, similar to the 35 Remington. Jim, that's a reason not to like the 22 short, Jake. It's still in your left butt cheek. Jake says, I hate the 22 short only because there's one stuck in my left butt cheek. That's pretty good reason. Pretty good reason. But we'll see. I'm like I said, I've expressed before that I'm a bit leery to go and buy that 360 buck hammer and like Henry's new lever rifle that's chambered in it, because I just don't know that's going to stick around. It's a Remington cartridge. And Remington has a terrible about marketing those cartridges and keeping them on the market. Like the 260 Remington was out years before the 6.5 Creedmoor was. Shoots extremely well. It was very common in the PRS realm, and nobody ever, for the most part, it never made it into the hunting side. It's in a lot of commonality. But, well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to cut this short, or cut it off. It's not short. And we'll catch you guys next week. Adios.